J.J. Watt is going to get honored at NRG Stadium on Sunday. He's going to get inducted into the Houston Texans Ring of Honor. And he's starting to do the media rounds. He was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. We'll get to some of what he said on the Pat McAfee show. Rather disappointing in just a moment. But he also took out a full-page ad in the Houston Chronicle. And I felt like I should read a selection of it. Perhaps with some ambience in the background to add gravitas. Because we are talking about J.J. Watt here. H-Town. Where do I begin? 12 years ago, I sat there in New York City on draft night, not knowing where I'd end up, not knowing what my life might look like the next day, or where I'd be calling home for the next however many years. I was just a kid, excited to be living out the dream that so many of us have had since we were running around in the backyard. Then the moment came. With the 11th pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select J.J. Watt, defensive end from Wisconsin. This is crazy. I just got drafted in the first round. Hug my parents, hug my brothers, hug my high school coaches. Damn, I gotta get to the stage. Somebody hands me a hat. Houston. I'd never been to Houston. I didn't know much about it. Got back to my hotel room that night, clicked onto social media, saw the draft party booze. That's okay. They don't know me. No worries. Just a new challenge, a new opportunity to change some people's minds. Next morning, up on a plane, land in Houston. This is it. This is my home now. Let's get to work. From the first moment I stepped off that plane in Houston 12 years ago to this moment as you're reading this right now, all I've wanted to do is make you proud. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew it was going to take a lot of work. I knew I would have to put in the effort to earn your trust, to learn your history. Not much of it. To appreciate what makes this city so special. Thankfully, I had an abundance of incredible people to help me do that. Teammates, coaches, trainers, equipment staff, cafeteria workers, Houston legends, athletes, artists, media members. Sup, that's me. Restaurant workers and everyone in between. This city welcomed me as one of their own. You welcomed me as one of your own. We've been through a lot together. Incredible highs, horrific lows, but we always did it together. 12 years ago when I stepped off that plane, I wasn't entirely sure what lied ahead. Today, every single time I step off a plane in Houston, I feel one thing. Houston is family. Forever. I love you, H-Town. And I can't wait to see you on Sunday. Wow, that music timed out perfectly. The Pacific is a great television show. Shout out to HBO for making that. Any World War II show. People say we men think about the Roman Empire all the time. No, it's just World War II. So that's the ad that J.J. Watt took out. Day One Donna asks, why does J.J. sound a lot like Batman? Well, I suppose a lot of my impersonations go back to Batman. You'll be surprised around Halloween, by the way, in studio with one of my costumes. So lots of great memories with J.J. Watt in Houston, right? He had the pick six in the Texans' first ever playoff W. He had the entire 2015 season where he actually received 10-plus MVP votes. I think he got 11. 3 times Defensive Player of the Year, the Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund, $37+ million. And also, he was probably the final nail in the coffin for Bill O'Brien when everything was hitting the fan in the 2020 season. Now I'm about to depress you. And I know it's sort of in my nature. Someone on YouTube was saying, Paul, I really like you as a sports talk show host, but you're negative. You say everybody's opinions are dumb. But it's true. Like, I'm really smart when it comes to football. Everything else, I'm kind of an idiot. But sometimes you have to look at a player and wonder, what if? Don't hate me for this. So, remember his first 5 seasons, he played all 80 games. 16. Every single playoff game as well. Did you know he played just 71 of his last 114 possible regular season games? Whoa. Come on. I'm not that much of a Debbie Downer, Sean. I'm not that much of a Debbie Downer. But some more somewhat depressing J.J. Watt statistics. 48.5 of his 114.5 sacks came against the AFC South. He did have 6 playoff sacks, but 5 of them came the first 2 years of his career. He only had half a sack against the Patriots his entire career. I mean, that one really stings.
Because it felt like they somehow played every single year.
They did play.
Which I guess they both won. Funny enough, they both won the division every year.
They did.
Which is depressing to think about.
They did. Again, there was this level that the Texans got to with J.J. Watt, and they couldn't quite get over it. And it is a bit depressing that, like, our favorite memories of J.J. Watt, it's the pick 6 against Cincinnati. It's clearly that. And some of those other memories, too. But it sucks that we never got to see him have, like, one of those Von Miller moments like we've seen him have a couple of over the last couple of years. And this is not me trying to diminish his career. This is just me highlighting, like, what kind of sucks for NFL players. Like, this is the best ones. A lot of them go through stuff like this. This is a depressing memory. Him telling Deshaun Watson sorry, that sucks. It just and asking for his
on a lot of different levels.
Yes. And asking for his release also, like, that's the last memory of him with the Texans. And that's on the Texans for that happening. Like, he should have been here his entire career. But here's what's honestly most depressing, because a lot of people were talking about how Bill O'Brien maybe hates Bill O'Brien. Check that J.J. Watt hated Bill O'Brien and is the reason that Bill O'Brien finally got fired. And maybe that was the case. But on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, J.J. Watt had this to say when asked a question by Pat McAfee, who brought up something I'd never heard of before.
Every job in the entire building at one point, and then there was a massive blow up that the reports were you took his face and punched right through it. Was that real? Was there any of that was real? And how much of that were you keeping track of towards the end of Billy O'Brien's run with the Texans?
Yeah, no, we never got into a physical altercation. No, there's no secret at all. We had a few scuffles, arguments here and there, but that's what coaches and players do. I mean, I talk to Bill all the time. I talked to him literally last week. We have a lot of respect for each other, and as a player, when you're going through the ups and downs, you're gonna have those types of situations. We've seen it with him, with Brady on the sidelines. He's a very, very fiery guy, and that you almost have to be in sports. And so we definitely had some spirited debates at times, but no, it never came to a physical altercation between me and Bill.
I had never heard that there was a story of a physical altercation, Sean. I had never heard that. I think some Texans fans are going to be bummed out by that.
I was like, I don't think I remember.
I heard shouting match at practice.
Yeah, I remember them like getting into it. But
I had never heard about it.
I never heard of that. Yeah.
Right. Actual fisticuffs between a coach and a player. That would have become a much bigger story.
Yeah.
In that moment.
No way we wouldn't have heard about that. Even if it didn't like become the lead story on SportsCenter, it would be something where
that would have been the lead story on SportsCenter, yes. Even with the Houston Texans.
But if they did a good job like hiding it to where the like national media didn't run with it, like still local media would have heard about it, you know, like and now it's been so much time since then, like, you know, all the people that are close around the team at that time, including yourself, Paul, would be like, well, you know what happened one time, you know, like that would have happened. So yeah, it was a weird question.
We talked about this in the break. J.J. Watt is a very, very nice guy. It is authentic kindness, I think, that comes from his heart. He also is a lot more savvy when it comes to saying things publicly. And I also think, as Sean did, bringing up in the break, that he's probably right here trying to seem like the bigger guy here. I imagine there is a little bit of disdain between the two that probably more comes from JJ than it comes from Bill because of Bill's style and because of the way that things were really going behind the scenes towards the very end with Bill.
And we mentioned and kind of joked about the clip of him walking off the field with Deshaun Watson saying that, like, we wasted one of your seasons. If he thinks of it like that with Deshaun Watson, he probably also thinks of it for himself and Bill O'Brien wasting some of his seasons.
Yeah.
And the Texans organization wasting some of JJ's seasons.
100%. 100%. And of course he had the injuries and stuff too. But I imagine a lot of Texans fans are disappointed to hear that, like, he doesn't have beef still with Bill O'Brien, because Bill O'Brien is one of the most disliked sports figures in recent Houston sports memory. Mike Fiers is the only person that I know definitively is above that. But
after that, O'Brien's pretty damn close to the top. I mean, O'Brien was a part of turning off an entire fan base from this team, and they were good for most of the time that he was the head coach of the team.
That was like the most incredible part, is that they had the most success, like the most sustained success that this franchise has ever had, of a football franchise in the state of Texas, in Houston. And Bill O'Brien was so unlikable that people were like, nah, who cares?
I know.
They won, what was it?
9 games in a row.
9 games in a row in 2018.
They started off 0-3. They won 9 in a row. And I remember being bummed out about it because I was working up the Texans flagship on a brand new morning show during football season. And I was like, can they please care about the Texans so that everybody, I don't know, listens to our show so I still have a job? So we like, our ratings were terrible. They were terrible during that time of year.
Yeah. I don't know how he did that. That is like a magic trick to be successful.
Forcing me into a 3-person show? Yeah.
No. Bill O'Brien.
Oh. My bad.
Now watch Paul Gallant disappear. No, how Bill O'Brien was like, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be more successful than Gary Kubiak. And then I am also going to have no one like me. And I'm going to do it without a quarterback for most of the time. So I'm making it even more impressive. And people are going to like the team less when I'm through with it.
JJ is writing that he was a good coach. And JJ continued in that answer saying, first off, he's going to get a beer with him soon. What? Second, that it was when he overextended himself that things really started to hit the fan. And I do agree with that, but he was a control freak. And I think that's who he is. I think he's probably in a better mental health space for himself as a coordinator than he is as a head coach, and especially as somebody running a football program. Can't even imagine what it was like running things at Penn State.